Okay, so wonderful. Really excited. I've got some time with the lovely Julie today. We're going to be talking about lightheartedness, and it's such a huge subject, or a word that has many, many, many connotations, that we thought, where would we start? And something that's very dear to Julie and my heart too is pets, is animals. So we're going to talk about lightheartedness around the topic of pets and see where that goes really in the next however long we want to chat for. So over to you, Julie, to start, because I know this is something that's very dear to your heart.
Yes, pets, and for me, I know for Laura it's cats,
Yeah.
and for me it's dogs, but actually maybe just animals in general is quite fascinating, and how they show up to life, I guess, with our view or within mind lightheartedness. I guess for me personally, before we go into what it seems to mean to my dog, is that it's just about showing up to life and not taking it quite so seriously. For a long time, I think life was just quite serious for me. And having had dogs the last 20 or so years, I realized that they just show up to life, and they really, really do show up to just being, like literally just being in the moment, in the present. And yeah, until we get involved, they seem to be just pretty relaxed and chilled out.
Yeah, they've my cats just sleep all day basically, but they are the art of being in the moment and just being really super chilled, and I think they just sort of sit in this meditative state pretty much all day.
Do they do anything in the evening?
Yeah, they're pretty active in the evening. I've got to admit, but
okay, cool.
I think just having pets for me has been really. I mean, I grew up with dogs, so I love dogs as well. But like they're present, and when I'm with them, I don't know, I am too. There's this, and I love that because I don't know, like instead of getting caught up in our thoughts about the future or whatever, there's this ability of it's not them that's doing it to me, but when I'm around them, it wakes up that space in me, that space of freedom, that's potential, that's peacefulness, that we really are. And I think this conversation is all about unlearning for me. It's a conversation of aligning the space of the body and the mind to that freedom and potential. And there's something about being with my pets that brings, it sounds very outside in because it's not, but I feel much more at home to myself when I'm with them. And it's because it's an awakening of that within me, I find. And I find that as this conversation, and looking at it from this conversation point of view, I have less and less identification with whatever behavior there is. I guess, there's a much more of a transparency about whatever experience I'm having, and awareness, and I kind of honor that. In a way that, when we're babies, we're born into this world, and when this space of potential. And I don't mean like there's limits with the form. Like I'm not going to be able to breathe underwater tomorrow, or like fly or anything like that. But there's like, there's pure potential when you realize that your experience is created through thought and belief. And there's that, I can't explain it, but there is that feeling of that potential when I'm around pets. There's something that wakes that up in me. It's very grounding.
Yeah, grounding. That was the word that came to mind just when you started talking there, was they're just very grounding. When you find yourself, I guess, taking life too seriously and, kind of getting caught up in thinking and in a big thought storm, and you're just like, oh, what next, what next? Somehow settling down with an animal, I'm guessing probably any animal, it's just very grounding, and they can remind us that we don't actually need to be doing very much. Like you said, your dogs, your cats sleep all day and then they're active in the evening, and that's fine. And with dogs, they tend to be a bit more, up and down, maybe a bit more like us, like humans, and it's becoming, I don't know, I guess at peace with all of that, with all of the ups and downs, and you're sitting and you're relaxing and something happens and the dog reacts, but they seem to be able to just go back to zero very, very quickly. Whereas we go up and then go, oh, right, well, what does that mean? Oh, gosh, right, we need to change this or do that or get busier or get quieter or get whatever. Whereas they just seem to be able to respond and then go back to sleeping. And then, and I think maybe there's a lesson in there for us when we're kind of all over the place and thinking what to do next.
Yeah, I definitely see that. They're so much more like babies, right? Where they have an experience and it goes, they can have I don't know, they can be excited in the moment and then they're not. And like thought moves through them clearly much quicker than what we do. And I think this is what this understanding has really made me understand the nature of suffering more, or how we suffer, right? Which is ultimately to undo the conditioning, I guess, that is being created through resisting what is there in the moment. And that's what it is. And when you can see that for what it is and have an awareness, I like to think this understanding of being led into the sunlight, and that suffering can't live in the light of awareness. And that's what I find, like, it's just sometimes like suffering becomes something to look forward to. I know that sounds really, really mad, but it's an opportunity to see what is being resisted, and it's an opportunity to learn and grow. And that's what I see. I see it, and that awareness is what is being present. And I feel that presence around pets. I just do. And how it can move through them so much quicker. And I think this understanding has allowed me to see that it can move through me so much quicker, because I'm just so much more aware of it.
Yeah, and I think we are so, in many ways, similar. I mean, we're all part of nature. We're all part of the same thing, aren't we? So so clearly, if any sort of state, because I mean, who knows whether they think or not, but any sort of state can move through them, then surely then it can move through us, and to the same extent. And it seems like, but for our thinking about it, that's all that happens. That's literally all there is that we are connected to them. They are connected to us. It is one and the same. And just letting that flow happen, I guess, is, for me anyway, it seems to make for less suffering. There's just a lot less suffering when there's flow.
I totally see that. Or there's just not, I'm just not as, and this might sound really flippant to people that are watching, like I'm just not as bothered about it.
Yes.
Yeah, like that's where the lightheartedness and freedom of this lies.
Definitely.
That is, awareness of how we are creating our experience through thought, through belief in the moment. And that has nothing to do with who we are. like, and that energy, that life force that you spoke about there, like, which is the same that's in my cats, that's in your dogs, that's in nature, that is it's so easy to see in nature, isn't it, when you see the flowers come into bloom. And
Yeah, I think maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's why we have such an affinity with animals generally, is because we can see it much more in them.
yeah,
And like when we have a problem, like if somebody else has the same problem, we can see the solution for them, but we
yeah,
can't see it for ourselves.
yeah,
Like, what's that all about? you know, no matter how much understanding you have, when it's happening to you, when it's you that's experiencing it, it's helpful to know that there is a light to walk to. Like you just were talking about, instead of going back into the darkness, which is very tempting because, the content of the story is very exciting and you want to just go in there and go, oh, my daughter's driving me nuts and I want to fix it and I want to do something and da 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 da. At this time, when that is a situation, I can't do anything about it. But rather than not being able to do anything about it and that causing more suffering, I can look at it and go, well, I can't do anything about it, but I'm not going to look there.
yeah,
I'm going to look towards the light or upstream or whatever it is, however you want to describe it, is basically anything away from what the problem is, which is very counterintuitive for many of us, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, totally. And how lighthearted you can be when you realize that, right? Because
Then it's like, oh yeah, she is being a complete pain, and
you want to
yeah and I'm struggling and she's struggling, clearly everybody's struggling, and it's very, I don't know, it's very compelling to get in there and get in about it and try and sort it out and do something and help her. And I don't want to see her suffering and I don't want to suffer, but knowing that it's me getting in about it that's causing the suffering.
yeah,
And if I was able to take it less seriously, life is easier for everybody. But there are certain things in our lives, and everybody's got different things that they take very seriously. Whereas for some reason with our pets, we can take them seriously, but it's maybe easier to step away, or maybe it's just easier for us, I don't know. But it's certainly, there is always an option to step away from whatever is causing you suffering.
Yeah, yes. And I feel that sometimes that option wouldn't necessarily be very evident once you're in the eye of the storm.
9 times out of 10, it's not evident at all.
Yeah.
But just knowing that there is alternatives, like there is always alternatives. It doesn't look like it at the time. Definitely not. I couldn't tell you the alternative with my daughter right now. Absolutely do not know it.
Yeah.
I am in the eye of that storm.
Yeah.
But
life is full of infinite possibilities. And the more that you see that, the more that those possibilities, fresh thinking, fresh perspective, is able to arise within you.
Yeah.
And that's what I find. You're right. And it's like, I just find when I'm getting myself and I feel like I'm not lighthearted, like I feel like I am stuck in a rut, or I'm getting judgmental about something, or I'm getting very anxious about something at work, what have you. You can see it in others, you're right, but the gift that we have as it's happening to us is the feeling. The feeling is what, that tightness, I don't know, everybody has probably rumble strips, as Nick calls it, but that tightness of my throat, my neck goes, and I know that's an invitation for me just to step away, because I know that only that fresh thinking and perspective can come when the mind settles, and it does it all the time, every single time, of its own accord, without me having to get stuck in there and do anything about it. And I just thought about my pets, actually, you know, if they're not trying to do tools and techniques to get them out of a particular state, like, it's, I know we're not talking about human beings here, so we get that, but still, it's, you see it with children. That's how we're born into the world. That's how the system works of its own accord. And, you know, because of that and the awareness of that, of seeing that there's this opportunity to play in life with much more freedom and excitement and lightheartedness that I didn't see before, have before.
Oh, definitely, I didn't see it. I think, interestingly, it was still there, because much like gravity, you don't need to know how it works for it to work. We're not going to float around, and much like the system, the human system, how it works, you know, you don't actually need to know how it works for it to be working. It's working all the time. But I guess what's been helpful for you and I is that we have been lucky enough, you could say, weirdly, to suffer from anxiety to such an extent that we reached out to do something about it. And because of that, fresh thinking appeared at some point. We ended up on the journey that we have been on in this conversation and continue to be on, which for me, I mean, makes everything, even the kind of worst things that happen, are never as bad as what they would have been a few years ago, when I took it all so very seriously, took myself seriously. I had, you know, I had an important role as a parent, and I had to do this, that, and the next thing. And I had an important role in my job and an important role in this, that, and the other. And now I'm like, it's not actually that important. It's fine. Because everybody's got that infinite possibilities. And, you know, it's, sharing it, I suppose, with your children is not possible, or it's not helpful. And that's one of the things that I've learned along the way, is that when there's infinite possibilities, if there's one that's not working, then just move on. don't faff around trying to make it work. Just move on. If it's not working, well, it's not working. Don't go back there. Don't go there. Whereas I think, for whatever reason, we intuitively, I haven't quite figured that out yet, but we're very good at going back and doing the same thing again and again and again. Thinking that this time it'll be different. And it doesn't tend to be.
No, it doesn't. You're right. Because we think that we're in control of that. Like, we're driving the ship, whatever you want to call it, the car. But we're not, right? So, and it's all okay. It's all okay. Like, all of it, like getting caught up, having moments of anxiety, all of it. Like, it's the ups and the downs of life. It's has no bearing on that wonderful space underneath the form, like that formless, like that's unbreakable and shakable. It's where we can dance around in that light heart feeling. The more that we appreciate coming home to ourselves, because we're there more often than we think that we are. It's just that we are fixated on the times that we're not, right?
Exactly.
Don't like that. I want that one. I want that experience. I don't like that one. And it's all an opportunity to see what we're resisting in the moment.
Yeah, and you could even go as far as to say we're always there, we're always home.
Yeah. But for the thought and the belief that we're not.
Yeah,
True.
it's fascinating, and I guess maybe kind of to finish up, it's like if there's one thing that I could share with people, it would just be, yeah, just don't take life so seriously. It just doesn't need to be that serious. Even the serious things can be dealt with in a light-hearted way, maybe more graceful way, or whatever. If we just recognize that, yeah, we don't have to go there. We just need to take a leaf out of our dogs and cats and just just hang out and see what happens. It's the control thing, isn't it? Because we want to control everything, that we get caught up in it, whereas our dogs and cats don't seem to be too bothered about controlling. They're just, oh right, I feel a bit hungry, right, I'm going to dance around and get some food, or oh, I need a nap, okay, I'm going to have a nap, oh, I'm going to do this, and then they just yeah, it's just simpler, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah. And so yeah, my would be more dog, be more cat then. That would be my parting gift.
Yeah. Be more dog. Yeah.
Be more cat. But yeah, I agree. Like it's about, there's lightheartedness in the moment, in the now, and there always is, and that's all we ever have, really.
Yeah.
So
enjoy it.
Yeah, beautiful
Have a
conversation.
laugh.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Take care.